Hello, Gaston's great listeners. Since this episode was recorded, we have learned that the plans for locating the new aquatic center in Cramerton have fallen through. We wanted to clarify this to our listeners since there are multiple mentions of the new center being constructed in this specific location. Gaston Aquatics continues to search for a viable location for the new center. Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 23. That's correct. I don't believe it either, but we've made it to episode number 23 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are once again coming to you this week from the worldwide headquarters, not the international headquarters, but the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services. And we look forward to having some great discussions in the coming weeks and months. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great group this week and have Donna Taylor and Trey Taylor with us today. Donna is the president and Trey is the vice president of Gaston Aquatics. And for the record, they are not related. I want to make sure we get that out there. But Donna and Trey, it's great to have you on and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and get started very quickly. But the listeners do want to know a little bit about you guys. So maybe, Donna, start with you. What can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? And remember, this is a family-friendly podcast.
So I am currently working in my husband's dental practice as the office manager, but that was not my dream job and isn't what I was trained to do.
And that would be Mark Taylor.
Yes. Okay. Yes, DDSPA.
Thank you.
I went to undergrad at Washington and Lee University in Virginia, then lived overseas for a while and came back and went to law school at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Practiced for a while.
We'll edit that part out, by the way.
Practiced law for a while, and then we had a need at work, and so I took up that need and have since done that and raised children and raised swimmers and have swum. And
where did you live? Did I know you lived overseas? Where did you live overseas?
In Poland.
Actually, I did know that.
In Łódź.
Yeah. That just immediately brought back all these stories, yes. That you have shared. So I have known Donna for a few years.
And so I love Gastonia. I married into Gastonia and want to make the county better.
Very good. Well, thank you for sharing that. Trey, what about you?
I'm pretty much a local boy. I was born in Winston-Salem, but I've been here for about 30 years now.
Okay.
And went to high school here and everything, went to UNCC to finish up. Don't use my degree at all. I ended up kind of stumbling into aquatics as a profession and have just expanded out on it as time has gone on. And now I serve on multiple national boards. I work nationally with USMS. I work with North Carolina Masters. I'm a coach for the Gaston Gators and work with Gaston Aquatics. So I have made myself into an aquatic professional and touch all aspects of aquatics across the nation in any way that I can.
Okay, well, very good. So I think this will be a great episode because I think a lot of people have probably heard of Gaston Gators, but maybe not so much about Gaston Aquatics, and we'd really like to get the word out about what you're doing there. So maybe start with you, Donna. Two quick questions. How did you get involved with Gaston Aquatics, and maybe just a short, and maybe this may be the same question, the history of the group, and how did it get started, and what are you trying to accomplish?
Well, there have been several iterations of wanting an aquatic center in Gaston County, and it goes back to
86
with Barbara Myers, Carolyn Niemeyer, Jerry Yadcock, all of those fantastic ladies. And it hadn't worked for a variety of reasons. So we decided in really 2016 that it was time, and the county has grown. We now have so Gaston Gators has a master's program that is for swimmers over the age of 18. And Trey had really taken that program and turned it into something amazing. We have, over 40 people?
We have 50 registered swimmers right now.
Who are over 18, who get up at 5:30 in the morning and go swim as a team. And we have a fantastic coach. Once you get adults back involved, and not just as parents, but in something that is important to their daily lives, you had a whole bunch of adult swimmers who have careers who realize how much we need an aquatic center, not just for swimming and for competition. Because we have, Chuck Niemeyer on our board, who is an orthopedic PA. We have Dave Major, who's
He's an
a
NC State
cardiologist.
guy too, by the way.
Really? I thought he went to Chapel Hill. I don't know. I'm confused.
NC2A champion and an ACC champion for NC State.
But so
I got you, Trey.
You
I'm feeling you, man.
So you have a cardiologist, an orthopedic PA. You have all of these people who realize that in their career, having water in town accessible for therapy and other things is just as important as competitive swim. So we all got together. We formed a 501c3, a nonprofit, and have developed a huge project for Gaston County, 34,000 square feet, a 50-meter competition pool, a 25-yard warm therapy pool that would benefit essentially everybody in the county if they want to avail themselves of it.
All right. That's a lot to unpack, but maybe before I ask the next question, Trey, anything to add to that? Or how did you kind of end up here involved with Gaston Aquatics? Or maybe you shared it earlier, but...
Well, in terms of the actual Gaston Aquatics side, that's kind of become a family business because the early 2000s run at this where we were looking to put it downtown where the conference center ended up was actually run by my dad, by Lee Taylor.
Okay.
So, as I decided, there's been a lot of people my age, my graduating class and everything that have left and decided not to invest back into the community and everything like that. And I made a decision, in the early 20-aughts that, if I was going to build the master's program and build through the Gaston Gators and everything and really try to make a career here, that I really needed to help invest in the community as well and not just kind of keep things going the same way that it's been, but try to help Gaston County grow and help bring things into the county as opposed to just letting things stay and just, working with it as it was. I wanted it to be better. I wanted it to be more, and I wanted to help the county grow and help the county change.
Yeah, that's very good. So specifically talking about an aquatic center, remember you have a non-swimmer asking questions who has a wife who is a decent swimmer and would enjoys that, has been out there I think a few times with Donna.
She's a fantastic swimmer.
She is a fantastic swimmer, but I think you dragged her out there a few times. And so what else? So kind of the question I typically ask is, what are some of the initiatives of an organization? Well, how would you describe that? I mean, what other things besides hosting a group like Gaston Gators, what else benefits to the community initiatives, or however you would describe that for, say, Gaston County with an aquatic center?
So we have partnered with Holy Angels. One of the cool things, so for a non-swimming audience, and I'm gonna do this because Trey gets so technical.
Okay, yeah. Don't ask me about your air conditioner because that's what I'll do.
Yeah. So I'll give the layman's terms.
Okay.
The big pool, the cold pool, the competition pool is 50 meters by 25 yards.
That's what you see during the Olympics.
It's also the 20.
Did you just say, okay, I'm an engineer. Did you just say meters and yards in the same
I did.
breath?
Intentionally.
See, that freaks me out a little.
Well, let me explain why it's important.
There's some feet in there too while you're at it.
That's depth.
Yes.
Oh boy, here we go.
The 50-meter pool is an Olympic-sized pool, and that's what you see Michael Phelps swim in.
Right.
When you see your kids in summer league swimming, that's a 25-yard pool.
Okay.
So there are two configurations for this pool. There's like a vertical and a horizontal. So horizontally, it can have 22.5-yard lanes, which is what people are used to seeing. Like if you're at the country club or you're at Southampton or you're at one of the Ys or whatever, that's 25 yards. So that's the horizontal way. The vertical way is the 50 meters, 8 lanes for what's called long course competition. So that's that cold pool for competition. The warm pool, which is more of my focus.
And to hit those numbers when she says cold and warm, so there are actually federations that recommend, just for anyone to understand what we're saying with cold and warm, for competition swimming, for training, for safety and everything, for athletes of any type, USA Swimming and other federations recommend that water be between 78 and 82 degrees. So that's cold pool, quote unquote. And then for a therapy pool, a warm pool, the Mayo Clinic and a bunch of other different entities recommend that water be 85 to 87 degrees, and that's what our target will be there.
And in terms of heating and cooling, circling back in, one of the things that we designed was to have the two pools separated so that the heating and cooling is separate also, so that the air isn't fighting and meeting in the middle, because in aquatic centers where there are not those separations, nobody's ever happy.
So it's zoned.
Yes.
So,
Is that the first time we've actually got an air conditioning reference into one of our episodes? Yeah. This is going to be the best episode ever.
so the warm pool that is my baby is 25 yards, so we won't ever have to close. Even if we're having one of those long course meets in the 50-meter in the summer, people can still be in this other pool.
Gotcha.
But it is true 0-degree entry. So if you have some infirmity or disability and are in a wheelchair, you can get into a PVC pipe wheelchair and wheel down in the water.
Okay.
There are submersible treadmills, bikes, all kinds of things that can be used in that pool. There are also railings. There are all different ways that essentially any person can get in that pool and get some exercise, have some resistance, have some flotation. So in partnering with Holy Angels, for instance, right now they love aquatic therapy, but they only have essentially hot tubs or spas.
Gotcha. Okay.
They are so excited about the possibility of having their residents come out and block a period of time and be able to get in the water and not have the weight of their body and gravity holding them in chairs. It's an amazing sight when you see people who are differently able get in the water and just the freedom on their faces. So that's one of the great partnerships that we're really excited about. Special Olympics. We've talked with different healthcare providers and their specialties. I mean, if you know anybody who's gotten a total hip replacement, they get 8 therapy visits with Medicare. They're not done after 8. But if there is a way that their orthopedist can say, we have, total joint replacement classes over at Gaston Aquatics, please go do that. And then their physical therapist can train some of our instructors to lead a class that is specific to people who've had total joint replacements. So it impacts so many different people. Elite athletes who've hurt their knees can go and run against the variable speed jet at the end, and you can zone that pool to be accommodating lots of different programming and individuals at the same time.
Okay. So, Trey, looking from us maybe more from the competitive side, or the what would the aquatic center allow here locally that we don't have now or don't have the capability of, or how would that look? Obviously, Donna described a much maybe broader group that it could impact.
From a competitive side, the biggest thing that's going to happen with Gaston Aquatics is keeping dollars in Gaston County. So when the Gaston Gators goes and hosts our home meets, quote unquote, we do so in Huntersville.
Okay.
It's the only facility that can host a meet of that size and of that structure. So we really want to bring that money back into town. We want to be able to have meets for the Gators, for high schools, for everything that, have spectator seating and everything, and bring people in from out of the county. Put some heads in beds to get our hotels used, have people dine at our restaurants, have people, in our county spending money in our county as opposed to taking those dollars out of the county like we do now. So from a competitive side, that'll be the number one, is just bringing dollars back into the county. And then in terms of, quality of competition, I'll say first off, the Ys have done an excellent job in supporting the high schools over the years and giving them a place to swim. And, we've been so thankful that they've been able to do that for them. And our business model is just different than theirs. And, we'll be able to provide elevated spectator seating. We'll be able to provide, be able to run meets while members are still able to be there and everything like that. And teams, yes. So we'll, simultaneously in a facility like this between 2.5 lanes, we can have an 8-lane high school meet going on while we have a Gaston Gators practice going on, and we have member lap swimming going on, and we have therapy going on. And no one ever has to be removed from the water. So it's just more space, more access to everybody where choices don't have to be made. That will allow, other, facilities in the county to be able to better target their membership and be able to better utilize their facilities, because we can pick up some of the slack in different types of configurations that haven't been available to this county before.
So is Huntersville the closest comparable facility, or?
Huntersville's probably the closest in terms of drive time. Downtown Charlotte would be similar as well. And then that would be it on that side of the river. And then you have to pretty much go. Shelby has an outdoor 15-meter pool that only can be utilized part of the year, and then you have to go to Boone to hit the next one.
Okay.
And Boone, the one at App, isn't for public use. If you're not a student or professor, you can't use it.
They don't allow any teams or anything else in outside of specific Appalachian students.
So west of Charlotte, there is not a 50-meter indoor pool.
Until what, St. Louis?
until Johnson City.
Johnson City.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's more than a normal commute.
Well, and as a parent of a soccer player and people who have played in bands, you often travel
Yeah.
and spend the night,
Yes.
pay for hotel rooms, pay for food, go to a movie because the event you're watching may be an hour. Well, for swim parents, it's even shorter. I will drive to Cary to watch Andrew swim for 1 minute and 6 seconds.
104 this year. 104 this year.
But with that, we go and we get 2 hotel rooms because I want the kid to sleep and be well rested and do all that. So we go up and we get 2 hotel rooms for our family, eat out, do all of those things, buy all the swag. And right now, we don't have any of that money coming into Gaston County. USA Swim gives statistics on how much money swim meets bring. The meet that we host every year, not we, Gaston Aquatics, but Gaston Gators hosts, which will be in Huntersville this weekend, would bring on the low end, if people didn't stay in a hotel, but just bought food out while they were in town, $57,000 each year. And if they go and spend 2 nights in a hotel and eat out, $237,500.
So that's significant. And just for the record, when I'm going to soccer tournaments, we're probably going to breweries, not movies. But that's just
We have those in county.
yeah. That's just Janet and I, but
and the Eisenhows. But
That's right.
So you get the idea of what we're missing. And I think you all have had Michael Applegate on.
Yes. Two episodes ago. Yep.
He is a swim
Well, actually, it
parent.
was last week, the episode we released. Yes. Okay.
He's a swim parent. His daughter, he's from Charlotte, so his daughter swam in Charlotte and then swam at UNC Wilmington. He has been such a proponent of this project because the first time we went to talk to travel and tourism, Joel was there. People were like, "Oh, what? Why would an aquatic center bring money into the county?" And
Right.
Michael went, "Oh my gosh, do you have any idea how many thousands of dollars I've spent at swim meets?" And so we started showing people how much revenue is lost by the team hosting these meets in
Oh, sure.
Huntersville.
Well, when you're not a swim parent, you just don't know.
Sure.
Yep.
Right? You just don't know things. Before I got involved with soccer and traveling all over, some North and South Carolina and spending nights, I, had no real concept of that either. So that's a great point. So yeah, it's not just a place for a bunch of elite swimmers to go and swim around.
No.
I mean, to try to simplify it to the dummy like me.
And it gives a school like Belmont Abbey an opportunity to potentially start a swim team again.
They haven't had a team since 1990.
And they don't want to build a facility, and there isn't a facility where they could have a team at this point. But this facility is big enough and has the structure with the seating and all of that to accommodate their conference championship.
And we could accommodate high school regionals, and there's lots of things that could bring people from all over the state and from outside the state, especially when it comes to Belmont Abbey's conference. Their conference is enormous in terms of geographic area, not a number of athletes because it's a smaller school, but the geographic area that it encompasses is humongous.
So, so I heard you say 2016 is kind of when this got kind of ramped back up. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yes.
So, so I know a little, maybe more than some, just because of knowing you, and I've seen some of your presentations. So, let's get right to it. I mean, where does the organization stand right now? What is happening? And because we've all heard some things that were going to happen and maybe didn't, and so kind of fill our listeners in on what's going on there.
We are attempting to purchase property off of Lakewood in Cramerton. Okay. Just off of 74.
Yep.
In front of Stuart Cramer High School. We are in negotiations right now with the school system. The town of Cramerton their town council has approved a resolution. It's an interlocality agreement, blah, 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 where the town of Cramerton.
Donna's a lawyer, by the way.
Cramerton has right of first refusal on the land. The schools own the land. The county's involved. So there are a lot of different entities. So we're making sure that we cross all of our T's and dot all of our I's. But we are attempting to purchase property there. It's a fantastic location because it's in conjunction with the school system. They wouldn't have to pay anything for it. In fact, we'd be paying for the land. But having it just off of 74 makes it just off of 85.
Sure.
Easy to find, easy for people coming east or west, right in between all of the hotels, the kind of Belmont Cramerton hotels and the Gastonia hotels. All of the restaurants are easy to get to. And with it being right there by the schools, it would make it easy for buses and things to get there and transport kids from other schools. And everybody knows where it is. It's a fantastic location.
All right. So what about funding and what's the next step? So for our listener, anybody may be hearing about this for the first time, I mean, what do you need? I'm just
I need a big check written by you.
We're definitely going to edit that out.
No,
Janet's not going to listen to this episode.
What we need to do is we need to get the land settled.
Okay.
Once we get the land settled, we have already raised over $1.5 million in pledges and grants already. We also have not wanted to sell a bill of goods to anybody and go out and start a lot of our public fundraising until we can say for certain where it's going to be. We're not smoke and mirrors kind of people.
Not trying to sell anybody vaporware. We want to be able to point to a piece of land, put a big sign on it, and say, here's where we're going, time to help.
Is there an estimated at least today, 2021, estimated cost for the construction?
So, as you can imagine, these numbers
change daily.
Yeah, we are very aware of what's going on the past 6 to 12 months, especially.
So, I mean, we've had it priced out.
Was that a bad question?
No.
He knows. He follows all of that a lot more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's 8-ish. But then you have to buy the land.
Gotcha.
I don't know if some of those prices are going to come down.
Well, for us, it's similar to.
We don't know how much the HVAC is going to cost.
If you need Freon,
on my throat.
Well, if you need Freon for your air conditioner, you might want to do it about 4 months ago,
well,
because of what we've seen just in the past few weeks, actually.
So all of that is variable.
Yeah. Sure.
So we need to formally acquire the land and then start our very public fundraising. At the moment, we are in all versions of the state budget for different matching amounts. Our local delegation has been fantastic to us. They see the health benefit, the competition benefit, and they see the economic benefit. And so it ticks a lot of boxes for them, and it's a one-time thing. It's not something we'd be coming back for all of the time to the legislature. So we are currently in the state budget, the House budget. We're in for what would end up being a $4 million match over time. In the Senate budget, we're in for a $2 million match. So it shows that we have to raise our money for them to give us money. And I think that's a fantastic way for that to work.
How much land does a project like this typically take? How many acres or?
So the building itself is almost exactly an acre. And then it really just comes to what kind of shared parking arrangements we can work out and everything like that.
Okay.
And we'll need daily parking to be done there. We hope to come to a shared parking agreement with Stuart Cramer and Gaston County Schools as we do this. We'll have daily use spaces that will be there. So we're looking at, when it comes to how the land is situated and everything, it's going to be just shy of a 5-acre parcel that we're looking at with them when you figure in ingress and egress, both of which we will require 2 based on the size of our facility and everything like that. So we'll be looking right at 5. The building will be just at an acre, and then probably hopefully about 100 spaces on the lot, and then looking for shared use spaces for meet weekends.
Okay.
That's one of the things that has been difficult about acquiring land. We are trying to be very conscious of funding. And so if you can buy a smaller tract of land and not waste money on putting in another parking lot or disrupting more green space just to put more parking.
Right. That's a big focus for us too, is trying to keep Gaston as green as we can, and there's no need to put another piece of blacktop down if we can share one that's already there.
Sure.
So the cost of clearing and putting, grading and putting in more parking, and also just disrupting more green space doesn't make sense when there's plenty of parking other places. So aquatic centers do well when they partner with another location and share parking. So that's been one of those.
The business model for most aquatic centers lately has been to partner with a school or with a mall or something of that nature that already has a large amount of parking.
So this is a question I typically ask, which is kind of worded. How do you envision the organization looking like in 5 to 10 years? So maybe is that a fair enough question, or is it more?
Sure.
Look, 5 years from now, it's been built. What does a weekend look like, or describe what is happening, and how can you? And I'm a big vision guy, and I think our listeners would probably appreciate that.
So 5 years from now, hopefully right around this weekend, the Gaston Gators would be paying in-county Gaston Aquatics to host their meet. We'll be bringing in hopefully around 500 swimmers from from Watauga, Lenoir, Asheville, Boone, everywhere and over in the Charlotte area. Half of whom we hope will be staying in hotels. So come Friday after work, people come rolling in. We get our hotels stocked up. We have people out to dinner in our towns. Maybe our movie theater's been refurbished by then, and we've got people out at the movies and hitting the breweries and everything for a little bit of live music, which is still going on because it hasn't gotten too cool yet. Saturday morning, we open the doors bright and early. We're running a practice at 6:30 a.m. That's going before the meet even starts. So we've got people in and out. Then we've got people coming in for the meet, 7, 8 a.m. We've got both ends of the pool going for competition with that. Probably around 10, 11 o'clock, we've got some people coming in for some therapy coming into the warm pool. They're coming in. They're working on total hip replacement, cardiac rehab, anything like that. We're got a little bit of a break, and we're warming up for the afternoon session. During that time, there's probably some master swimmers and some triathletes coming into the lap lanes and trying to crank out some laps in between sessions. There'll be definitely a break then, so a lot of people from the meet will have gone out to lunch, or the ones that are coming in for the session will have had breakfast and then coming in for the afternoon session. We'll go through our afternoon session with another, the other half of those 500 swimmers, hopefully ending up around 5, 6 o'clock, and then everybody scatters and can enjoy everything else that the town has to offer. And then we come back Sunday, and we'll do all of that again, in addition to probably bringing in some different type of things on Sunday. We'll probably have some. We might have some of the aquatic yoga. We might have some people doing all in water triathlons, which they call super tries. So they'll do like a 30-minute. They'll swim for 10 minutes, and they'll bike on one of the underwater bikes for 10 minutes, then run in the water for 10 minutes, just as they run through real fast. Hopefully we'll have some of our turnkey rooms out to maybe a massage therapist or something. Some people are coming in for some Sunday de-stress and everything like that. Maybe we've got pediatric hands-on therapy in there working in the pool during
Frida.
that. Frida Poke.
Okay, yeah.
While the meet's still going on the other side, and then maybe the after church crowd. We get some families that come in, and we might have a birthday party on Sunday afternoon.
All right, so that's a lot.
You ask.
And just to make sure we're clear, we are recording this on Wednesday, October 20th. So that means this meet would be the 22nd, 23rd,
Yes.
or 23rd, 24th, 21st. Yeah. So this will probably unfortunately be released after the meet in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But that just gives our listeners the time of year, and it's typical, I guess, the same week or close to it every year.
We target the weekend before Halloween is what we strive for on that.
And one of the interesting things, so we have gotten a grant, for instance, from Timken.
Okay.
They're not Gaston County, they're Lincoln County, but this facility will work with this whole corridor with Cleveland, Lincoln, Gaston, because as we said, there's not a 50-meter pool that's available to the public until Kingsport. So the team out of Shelby may also want to rent the space to host their home meet, because right now they're renting in Charlotte also.
Okay.
They would rather rent here than go all the way to Charlotte.
Yeah, we don't want to go to Charlotte
Well, and
because Charlotte is the gateway, right? So.
And my best friend from law school is a master's coach like Trey for a big team in Charlotte.
Okay.
She's written a letter of support for us. Their master's team, because the pools in Charlotte are so full, has trouble hosting a meet.
Okay.
So she's written a letter of support that she would come here to rent space here so that her team could have a meet, because they have trouble having a home meet even though they run an entire facility in Charlotte. It's just that crowded.
All right. So there's really no pushback or issues from the other facilities that are within whatever the driving distance might be considered reasonable. It's just not because of overbooking or not having enough space already. Is that fair assessment?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So this has been great. So let me ask you, is there anything else I should have asked but haven't, or anything else you'd like to share before we're going to get into some very important questions here in a second?
Well, you talked vision, and a thing that's always been kind of near and dear to me is we have an astounding amount of coastline for being an inland county because of the rivers and lakes and everything. We also have one of the highest drowning rates per capita in our county in North Carolina.
I had no idea. So
some years we top the whole state.
Some years we're the top of the state.
This is called Gaston's Great.
No,
Well,
Come on.
So this is moving towards that. So
I'm just
the great thing that we want with that is, we've talked with Gaston County Schools, and the Ys are able to provide some stuff with this. So we would like eventually to be able to, between the YMCAs and Gaston Aquatics, to start getting an initiative to teach every fourth grader in the county to swim.
That's great. Yeah.
and Gaston Aquatics we have 6 or 7 now, ALTS instructors.
Yes.
ALTS is a program, Adult Learn to Swim. And it's not typical swim lessons, but there also is a sliding scale, so people can get free swim lessons as adults for 30 days with our trained instructors for free.
That's all subsidized through the Swimming Saves Lives Foundation.
Okay.
We have more ALTS instructors than Mecklenburg County has.
That's interesting.
And Gaston Aquatics has the only ALTS instructors in the county.
Another reason why they're the gateway to Gaston.
So it's also multi-generational, this whole drowning thing. If parents don't know how to swim, or guardians, they're hesitant to let their kids go anywhere.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. Yep.
Beach, to pools, to whatever. So then it's this terrible cycle.
Yeah, it's if the parent doesn't know how to swim, there's an 85% chance that the child will not learn how to swim. And it's definitely it falls along socioeconomic and everything, and different lines like that too. And we want to make sure that really want to democratize water safety. And again, I will speak to the YMCA's have done a wonderful job of doing that. It's just there's just not enough water. There's 100,000 people in this county plus now.
Yeah.
Census data. It's we're climbing lists in size, and Wilkes County has more covered lanes than Gaston County does right now, has more covered water.
That's interesting.
And they're in the, bottom 25% of population, and we're in the top 10% of population. And we just want to provide more for the county. We want to just really to work with what's there and build upon it and just be able to provide access for all of the county.
Make it greater.
Yes.
That'll be this episode subtitle, Gaston's Greater. All right, well, listen, before we're going to swing back to Gaston Aquatics and maybe even a little bit about Gaston Gators before we finish up. But we've got a few questions. We'd like to focus on Gaston County. We did send y'all questions, right? Did you see the questions that we sent? Okay, just making sure, because these might take some research on your part. So this week it's going to be back to, do you really live in Gaston County round of questions. All right, so, and I'm going to start with you, Donna. Are you ready?
Sure.
Favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
That wasn't very enthusiastic, but that's mine too.
I was going to say, is there another flavor?
Butter pecan, excuse you.
Butter pecan.
That was my mother's favorite.
I actually think that was my father's favorite, actually. Aww. Butter pecan. So, that's one of those things. I think I've said this every time someone said chocolate. Every time I go, I'm gonna get something different this time, and I just don't. Mm-hmm. All right.
I brought my wife, who was from Delaware, to Tony's Ice Cream for the first time, and their definition of milkshake is very different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, what is this? It's like, hush and enjoy.
Oh yeah, it's legit. Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Cherry lemon sundrop.
Okay.
Diet Sundrop. I've never tasted your wine. So I'm not a big soda drinker. I don't have sodas in my house.
What does that have to do with anything on this podcast? There's no excuse making on Gaston's Great podcast.
I drink coffee. I drink water.
You've had a choice bottled water, though.
Oh yeah.
So
and Diet Sundrop is fantastic.
We have 5 people in the room, and 2 of them have said they've never had Cheerwine. Have you had Cheerwine? 3. Have you had Cheerwine?
Oh yes.
Oh, you just said Cherry Lemon Sundrop. I don't even know what to think. I don't even know you people.
So,
and it does taste different since the water changed.
Go ahead. What? Say it. Donna's thinking.
I don't do fruit flavor and other flavors.
I've seen you with raspberry vodka.
Edit that out.
Okay. Is that the first liquor reference on any of our episodes? We've had brewery and beer references plenty of times, but I don't think
You're
we've had.
editing that out.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go places, Stephen.
Well, maybe we can talk about the broken door at someone's house. All right. Favorite local restaurant?
I love Webb.
Webb is a very popular answer, yes.
I think Webb's going to be my answer as well.
Yeah, it's very good and very involved local community. You can't say swimming to this question, but favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County?
Well, he gets to go first on this.
Okay.
I get to go first on this?
Because of your wife.
Oh, hiking, 100%.
Okay. Hiking's good.
100%.
They hike all the time.
Good for them. Got some good hiking to be a landlocked county, not near the mountains. Not really.
We hike. We regularly walk down at Martha Rivers. Mark and I are of an age and a.
Do y'all walk at the mall?
No, we're not adults.
Sorry, I would have just.
No, but
that would have just tipped over the edge of this episode.
That's Dr. Major, who has to do Walk with the Doc.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
We do. I mean, we do a lot of stuff, but we walk. We use the parks. All that good stuff.
I use now that my wife's teaching at in Pinewood at Mount Holly. I use Tuskegee Park more than a long time.
So would that be your favorite park?
Probably just because it's new and it's by the water, and I always knew it was there, but now that she's up there, we've spent a lot more time up that way. And
well, it's interesting. We just had So the last couple episodes kind of tie in. We had we had Michael Applegate and Emily Carpenter on from Travel and Tourism. Then we had Holy Angels is actually going to be released tomorrow, right? So,
Fantastic.
and then we had Kathy Hart from Gaston County Parks and Rec. So, that was interesting because, I've lived here all my life and didn't realize there's 18 parks that Gaston County, oversees. I mean, I see 3 or 4 of them a lot, but the other, 14 or whatever, I was like, really? What?
On that BMX track now? I mean, I don't BMX, but
yeah.
that's an amazing addition.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be your favorite outdoor activity, was BMXing.
You know what I have started?
That's a verb, BMXing? That's actually
You're verbing a noun, sure.
Okay.
But I've enjoyed doing some kayaking and paddleboarding lately.
That came up with, we had John Searby on from the Riverkeeper, and even Travel and Tourism talked about that. All right, here's a question I'm going to modify for today slightly, and I'm going to ask Trey first. UNC, Duke, NC State, or UNCC?
Are we talking academics or athletics?
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever.
I am a NC State swimming fan, 100%. I'm a good friend of Braden Holloway's.
Where's the clap? Celebration. There you go. That was for your NC State comment. Sorry, that was some bad editing there on my part. Sorry, Trey, interrupted you.
That's quite all right. And then since UNCC is my alma mater, I'm going to go academically with UNCC.
Excellent. Maybe we'll skip this question for Donna. Should we ask?
You can answer it for me.
I'm not going to answer. I can't say
those words can come out of your mouth.
No.
I'm a Tar Heel. My dad went to law school there. My sister went to grad school there. My brother-in-law went to law school there. I went to law school there. Mark was there for undergrad, dental school, and residency.
So.
Well, if Andrew gets a swimming scholarship to NC State, where's he going?
He will go to the best academic school that also affords him the opportunity to swim.
What a good political answer.
We're going to have to video some of these episodes. Maybe we start doing that so you can see the reactions on my face sometimes to some of these answers or some of these questions.
Did you not like the answer to that question?
Yes. Amy says yes. So, yes. All right. Trey, start with you. What is something very few people know about you?
Very few people know about me. I have all others. Let's see. Go ahead, Donna. You're one of the very few people that know me quite well. I want to hear what she says about this.
Wow.
Actually.
So Donna's
white uniform.
Okay. I was in the first Hunger Games movie.
Oh, really?
Oh. I was.
And you did.
I was one of the peacekeepers. Anytime you see someone to the right of Jennifer Lawrence that has hold of her arm escorting her, that's me.
Oh, wow. That's pretty exciting.
That was filmed fairly locally, too. All that stuff was filmed I filmed scenes in Shelby. I filmed scenes in Pineville and scenes up in Black Mountain.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That is pretty good. Nice call there, Donna. All right, what about you?
Movie po polsku.
Speak English, I'm sorry?
I speak Polish.
Oh.
Mine's not nearly as exciting as Trey's.
Oh, I bet there are some you're just not going to share, but that's fine.
And I make very good cookies.
That's factual.
Yeah. I think I've been physically familiar with that one. I think I have had some of your cookies.
I've made you ice cream as well.
Really?
Alex loves it.
So does that, I think you made it and you sent it to our house with Alex and I never saw it, or it actually made it to my house?
It made it to your house in my KitchenAid ice cream maker. Yeah.
That still doesn't mean it made it to him.
I think my kids must have commandeered that one. All right, Don, how about a book, not necessarily recent, but a book or anything you would recommend to our listeners?
Well, I'm reading some kind of beach trash, but in addition to that, do you know, I don't know how to pronounce his last name because I've only seen it. Joel Baden, B-A-D-E-N. He is a professor at Yale Divinity.
Oh, Okay.
a professor of Hebrew, and he gives talks on YouTube and writes books and articles that are very insightful about current life versus kind of how stories evolve. You know, are things the story or a story? And our current interpretation of our lives and things as the story when it's really just one of a story of life and history. And it's kind of deep, but he isn't, and he is a geek and I'm a geek and that's all okay. But he makes it interesting and accessible, and he's a really interesting guy.
Does he have a specific book, or is it just a...
There are a whole bunch of them, and articles and YouTube videos.
Baden, is that what you said? Okay. Thank you. From Yale Divinity. I'll make a note of that one.
Yeah, I while I'm making dinner, I listen to him.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, Trey, anything you would like to share?
I'll always recommend to anyone Tom Standage's History of the World in 6 Glasses or Edible History of Humanity.
Okay.
He's a economist and historian who breaks down how different exports of food and beverage throughout time have affected everything from how colonization happened through imperialism, slave trade, everything that were all driven by different beverages and different foods, and how it's really driven humanity in certain directions and caused a lot of the problems that we face today all can be tied back pretty directly to certain agricultural choices that we've made.
Yeah, I just finished a book not too long ago called *Sapiens*, and it talks a lot about that. And that was a tough read, but it was good. Learned a lot. So, what was the author again?
Tom Standage.
Okay, thank you. Of course. Well, listen, I appreciate you indulging us on those the things that people really want to hear about.
That's on drop.
The two, yeah, and that you never had cheerwine.
I'll go get one.
My aunt used to pack a second carry-on bag of Sundrop whenever she traveled to Europe.
I have a pretty good idea that there'll be some cheerwine showing up on your porch sometime in the near future. So listen, we got just a couple more questions, and we'll get finished up, and want to get back to Gaston Aquatics. But besides, what you guys are involved with and what you're trying to do, and Gaston related to Gaston Gators and Gaston Aquatics, besides that, why would you say Gaston is such a great place?
I grew up in a small town in Virginia, and it had been industrial and all of that. And Gaston County is basically like where I grew up, just 10 times bigger. And I'm very comfortable. My sister lives in Charlotte, and that's great. But I like that I know that Janet and Stephen are around the corner. And if I need my kid to have a ride to school, I can text them, and my kid would get to school. I like that when I go to the Harris Teeter, I see people I know. I like that we can hike and go to the lake all in the same county, and we're, 2 hours from True Mountains and 3.5 hours to Isle of Palms.
Right.
I like that I know the people who own the restaurants and the shops. It's a sense of community still with a size. Where I grew up, it was so small that you did know everybody, and you might have known them too well. But it didn't have a lot to offer otherwise. We have the size to have things available without it being so big that you don't have the sense of community and of knowing your neighbors and of knowing business owners in town. And that's important to me. When I first moved down here and Mark was single and living in Charlotte and had started the practice here, he said he needed to get back over here and wanted to. And then we got married and moved over here, and it was just a relief to both of us. It just makes life better.
Maybe we need to clip that one and give Michael Applegate might like that clip to talk about why Gaston County is such a great place. I mean, that was a terrific answer.
And quickly, when my mother moved down here from Virginia, and she had to, people were sick in the family, she sat down with my sister and myself, and I said, where do you want to be? And she said, Gastonia? And she got a place over nearby in Riverwood. But
okay, yeah.
in her mind, there wasn't a choice.
I could not have seen Lolly and Charlotte.
Yeah, that's interesting. That might be a hard one to follow, Trey, but I'm asking anyway. Why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
That is a tough one to follow. I'll just reiterate some of the things that Donna said, but I really enjoy that I can live surrounded by trees and still be 25 minutes from Uptown Charlotte if I want to go that way,
Or the airport.
or the airport or anything like that. We do need a third bridge, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just really enjoy the community so much. Just as Donna said, and I enjoy. My wife says that I've got a guy or a girl for everything, and I like that. I like that I can go to my phone and call someone that I actually know, not just a number off of Google. And I love that I can call Scott here and drive him crazy, like needing stuff like that for the needing stuff for the team. I just like that I know that I could put a face with a name with things in this county with different things. It's with all the restaurants and everything. I worked in restaurants during college and everything, and I know a lot of people that manage restaurants here and own restaurants here. Know people in the local shops. I love that I can go to Floyd and Blackie's for coffee that isn't Starbucks.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I really like the fact that we have and we're gaining more and more every day options, but they're still feel local and they still feel like I can know the person and the community behind them.
Right. Those are two terrific answers. And you know what? And I agree. And we do have a very unique county. So this is my favorite question. I think I'm gonna start with you, Trey. Kind of looking back. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self?
It looks like it was just a couple of years ago.
I wish it was just a couple of years ago. My 20-year-old self, I would actually probably tell him to consider more in high school what you actually want to do with your life, and don't just get a college degree based on what is a up-and-coming career. I would have told my 20-year-old self to, especially at 2 years into college, having done all my gen ed stuff, to actually think about what you enjoy doing and what you want to do what you could see yourself doing long term. I did one internship and spent 6 weeks in a cubicle and went, well, this was all a waste of time because I'm not doing this.
That's interesting, and you know what? Unfortunately, very true. Donna, I've been waiting for this question. So,
What did I tell my 20-year-old self?
Yes.
Trust yourself. Keep taking the trips, and don't close doors.
Amy, did you write that one down? That's pretty good, wasn't it? Donna surprised you. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
I can do more than make cookies.
All right, guys, this has really been good. So here's really another really important thing. So where can listeners go to learn more about whether it's Gaston Gators, Gaston Aquatics, contact you guys? I mean, what can we do to try to get a little more recognition? And again, what's next?
So I'm always available. We have an email address that we both service, and GastonAquatics@gmail.com. GastonAquatics@gmail.com. Okay. At this point, we don't have a separate phone number.
Okay.
But either of us are more than willing to call people back. We do have a website.
Okay.
Which is www.gastonaquatics.org.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of information on there. We have brochures that we can get out to people if they have questions. We have rack cards with basic information. So we are available, and I talk to people all the time. If they want to email me, I'll call them back and talk to them, or Trey will. Absolutely. And in terms of the team.
And for the Gaston Gators, www.gastongators.com. And then there's also gastongators@gmail.com. And that we have, so we also both of the entities have a good presence on Facebook as well.
Yep. I can solve that for both of them.
So one of the things about both organizations is they're volunteer boards. So, it's not like we have an office or have a staff or anything. It's just us.
And we will get back to you as quickly as humanly possible.
So what's the next? So if I'm looking out, whatever the next few months.
Talk to your school board members, your county commissioners, and tell them how awesome it's going to be for Gaston Aquatics to be on Lakewood. So
what's the next time frame that we might expect to hear something or see something, or what's the next big date, or is there?
By the end of the year, we would love to have the land settled.
Okay, very good. All right, any other last words of wisdom or anything else you'd like to share before we finish off this episode, which has been really good?
I just want to absolutely thank you for your time. Thank you for bringing us in, for letting us share our message and what we're trying to bring to the county, and letting us laugh and joke and enjoy Gaston County with you.
Well, listen, this has been good because this is, we picked that kind of corny name, Gaston's Great, on purpose, and this is another reason why Gaston County is already great, but then a potential to Donna's point from earlier that make Gaston County maybe a little greater, right? So listen, guys, I appreciate your time. So I'm going to finish up with my kind of two things I do at the end of each podcast. First is my book recommendation for this week, and I did pick this one on purpose, knowing what we were going to talk about this week. But there's a great book by a lady named Lisa McLeod. It's called Leading with a Noble Purpose. And if you're at all involved in leadership or want to learn more about leadership, it's a really good book. And I think something like the Gaston Aquatics in the center that we're talking about, it takes leadership from a group of individuals to have something like that happen, or even have an opportunity to happen. But it's a great book. Again, that's Leading with a Noble Purpose. And my quote this week is, I think, one that we can just utilize for the times we've been living, especially the last 20 months or so. We try to avoid talking about that on this podcast on purpose, but this is on humor and laughter, and it comes from Charlie Chaplin. And he said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." So think about that when you're going about your daily interactions and daily lives, and try to remember that even in the midst of some of this wackiness that we've been dealing with, maybe there's some humor and laughter and some light out there. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. Please spread the word if you can about the podcast. And please don't hesitate to contact us here at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com. And please follow us on our social media platforms. You can also find us and subscribe and rate the podcast on most podcast services such as iTunes, Spotify, and Google. Thanks to Donna Taylor and Trey Taylor for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Amy Anderson and Elizabeth King from GSM Services, and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.